Hello and welcome to this week's Oracle card reading. Um, I've got my candles going in the background, and I don't know if you can see it, but I've got my chair stuck on my dress. That you definitely can't see. And I've got a little sage going today. So I'm just going to use that to bless you, bless me, just clear the energy. I don't know about you, but right before I hopped on, I was deep in production mode. And so I really needed to kind of take a moment, drop in, shift my energy. So every week I do this Wednesday mornings, and usually right around 9:15 Central. This morning we're a little behind schedule, but this is just where I connect with our guides, your guides, my guides, the collective, and especially like with an ear toward or a nod toward the divine feminine, the sacred feminine. What does she have to say in her many forms? And the question I really come in today with is, what now? Right? So, depending on where you are in the world, you may be have been sheltering in place for some time now, or just, maybe it's been a week or two, and we're starting to settle into our routines, kind of like adjusting to our new temporary normal, because the one thing that we can count on is that this is all temporary. This will pass, just as everything has always passed. And so it's just kind of like wanted to, like what I do every week is like just kind of take the temperature, what's going on, and what guidance would be helpful. And oh, hey, Robin, welcome. A month for you today. Right. Because like I was on the East Coast right around this time, and they were already shutting down. I'm in the Chicago area, Central Time. So um, things really only got like pretty official around here, like a few weeks ago now. So 3 weeks. For me, it's like 2 weeks, because what they did with my daughter is they shifted her spring break forward, so it was still like normal, and now she's back in school but virtually, right? So the first card I'll draw is actually, this is from my medicine card deck. This is there an an animal, like kind of a totem animal? That's just what I'm being guided. Like some wisdom. Oh, can you see that? Wolf. I love this. I have been leaning more into this book lately, like just as as husbands covered, like Mother Earth, Gaia is renewing while we're resting, right? Even if some of those stories may have been exaggerated or what have you. Give me 1 second while I turn off my phone alarm. Okay, the wolf is the teacher. This is so good, because this is really like what's helped me to really stay sane through all of this is, well, I mean, exquisite self-care, all of the practices that I share and teach, all the ways that I have cultivated my unshakable center. And knowing that there is a higher purpose, an overarching purpose to what's happening right now. So I really love that wolf as the pathfinder, the forerunner of new ideas, who returns to the clan to teach and share medicine. Ooh, my knees are getting weak right now. So What are the powerful lessons for us as a collective, and then also for us individually in this moment, right? And some of these I've talked about in some other um, videos. If you look at a channel that I did earlier in March, I talked about kind of like the different themes, like this theme of a greater hygiene, not just physically, but, the physical is the most obvious one, but this sort of spiritual, energetic one of how we relate to each other. I really see this, what we are going through right now. We are evolving as a collective to become more of a collective um, um, versus like warring factions, if that makes sense, right? And so a collective does not mean that we like merge and become the same. Not at all. A collective means that we retain our individual perspectives within this dynamic whole. And the thing is that like if you're tuned in, you know that we're already a dynamic whole, but this is more of like kind of everyone being on board, part and parcel, and just really like elevating and escalating our consciousness, our awareness of that oneness within our different and disparate experiences, right? So if we think of this whole experience as being like a teacher, whoa, and this wolf like running out, gathering the information and bringing it back, this is the message for this week. Just imagine how we will be changed after this time. Because I think it really is going to change us. Yes, it's going to blow over. Yes, we're going to move on. And just like we were never the same after 9/11, right? That like marked the culture, the economy, the everything. This is different, and similar in that level of, even more so because it's so global, right? Where when, because of, anyway, I don't need to dive into all that stuff, but wolf takes one mate for life and is loyal like dog. If you were to keep company with wolves, you would find an enormous sense of family within the pack. As well as a strong individualistic urge. I swear to you, I didn't read that before. I just shared what I was channeling just from the card itself, but this just confirms it. It's like we are becoming that wolf pack. We are becoming from the perspective of the same way that animals communicate across vast distances without even using a word, right? This is what we're evolving toward. It's already happening. I'm already hearing this. I've seen this happen in my own experience, and I'm seeing it happen in the collective where people are saying, oh my gosh, like the intuitive hits are coming even stronger. I think of someone, they call me. Like these are all things that have happened. We call them synchronicities, right? They've always happened. But guess what? Like by us, our heart chakras being open, that's why this is like a respiratory thing. Like we are stepping into, let me step back for a moment, connecting with love. So I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Love is the stuff we're made of. Love is the stuff that the universe is made of. And as we become a more connected collective, then we're able to communicate and transmute via energy, via, that's why it works. That's why it works when you have a friend who's like challenged and you beam them love or prayers or good juju or whatever is your belief system, right? It works. It makes an impact. It's why meditation will raise the energy, will actually calm. They've done these studies, right? We already know that we can impact the collective web energetically. It's been documented time and time again. So this is just simply, we are becoming more like the animals in that lovely way of being able to communicate in a much more instantaneous way. So you can call that psychic. You can call that, just being more in tune energetically. I just see it as like we've always had these connections. We've always been able to communicate this way. And now we're just being opened up to connect even more. Look at this. We're having this global shared experience. Global. It's profound. So, yeah, I really look forward to appreciate how this time of cocooning is really a time of transformation for us. Like, so if you're feeling the mush of the caterpillar, that's literally changing form, like, I'm losing shape and form and I don't know what's happening. Like, if you're in that kind of like mush, have grace with yourself, have compassion with yourself. It's all good. I've noticed it's been like this, right? Like just energetically, emotionally, like some days I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is fine. This is wonderful. This is cool. And then other days I'm like, when will it end? When can I simply go and co-work in a cafe if that is what I so please? So, it's like, I dramatize and I know, and I also do not minimize that there are people who are truly suffering right now, that there are and have been casualties. And so I do not make light of that at all. And in fact, it is in our energetic connection that we're able to soothe each other and love on each other and send each other the support and the inspiration and the wisdom that we need right now, to truly be there for one another. Just like I did a video in March, you can find it on my YouTube channel, of just like, we've gotten through this before. This is not the first time that humanity has been through an epidemic. And, I'd love to say it's the last time, but I'm no future teller. And if history isn't any indication, then it won't be. There will always be things that impact us in this way. And the question is, how do we respond? How do we show up? Do we embrace the moment of transition and change? Or do we get into the mush, the mushy side of transformation, the challenging side of transformation? Like, we got to go through it. It's not like it's not going to be there, okay? Like, we're not bypassing and being like, this is great. Oh my gosh, this is just lovely. Are you kidding? All the old stories are coming up to be cleared. Any like baggage, any mindset stuff, any barriers that you're still carrying around, if you haven't noticed them knocking on your door, then you have not been paying attention, my friend. They're like, okay, clear me so that we can move on. Like, okay, like here's this thing. Here's this person that you need to forgive. Here's this, past trauma that is ready to be released, like, and integrated, right? Not blocked, not walled off, but like, what are the gifts? What is the learning? Just like the wolf as that teacher, what is the learning right now? So I invite you, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What is the learning for you right now on a collective level, on an individual level? Like for me, it's been, everything I shared around the collective. I do feel like it's this heart-opening, transformational time of up-leveling our connection. Some people have called it, some people refer to this as like evolving into like a fifth dimensional experience. You can really call it whatever you want, but it's this evolution as a collective. And individually, like those things that I've been listing, oh my gosh, totally had to re-examine my boundaries personally and professionally, and really take a stand in love. Ooh, I love that. Michelle shared how to be alone, right? Like this is what I'm finding. Like we have the collective experience and then we have the individual experience. Like I think of my, like, my hubby's home, my daughter's home. So I'm having this very like, it's like, how can I find alone time? And then I have other beautiful people in my circle who are sheltering in place alone. So for them, they're looking for connection. And it's like, what is it that is coming up for you that is so divinely timed to come up for you? You know, we're having to deal with issues of scarcity, right? Like being confronted with the like, oh no, like that walking into the grocery store and seeing the shelves empty, or like experiencing our own larder, you know, like, oh my gosh, that's such an old word, larder, like, pantry or whatever have you, like to like seeing supplies decline and to be able to ride through that without going into panic. Ah, I love you, Michelle. I'm alone. It's hard. I'm sending you love, darling. um like this is, you know, feel the feelings, right? Feel the feelings and then notice the language too, right? It's hard to be alone, or it's challenging to be alone, like, and just witness, like in the word change, is there some energy freed up there, right? Energy that you can then reintegrate, reinvigorate yourself, right? So yeah, like it's tough, it's challenging to be alone, and it's challenging to worry that there's not enough. It's challenging to feel like, you know, I have other folks in my circle that have young kids and are like, I can't get a moment. There isn't a moment. So what is this lesson, right? Like that very visceral experience that's coming up for you is exactly the thing, that is your thing or things, right? Because we're multidimensional beings, right? Of, okay, this is coming up right now during this time of massive global transformation, because my showing up as all of who I am, my stepping into the next iteration, the next expansion of all of who I am, is like, this is the thing, right? So for me, it was like boundaries. For me, I've needed to forgive the men in my life. I'll just be vulnerable with you, right? Like that was one of the first instincts that dropped in, was like, reach out to your bio dad and say hello. And then when I did, it was like, oh my goodness. It just released all this stuff. I was able to go back. You know, I've been doing, you know, like use this time, right, to tap into tools. And if you're like, I, um, I'm challenged by this thing, I'm struggling with this thing, do you have a tool that you can recommend? Post it, bring it to the group. You know, I've been leaning into like meditation, hypnosis, energy healing, you know, working with like all whatever I can tap. You know, some of it I'm working with a practitioner, some of it I'm like being in community with people, some of it I'm just on my own, like using the time, using this pause button, right? To like, what is the learning, you know? What can I explore here? So my boundaries are being challenged for sure. Anybody who's dealing with like people in their faces all day long, it's like, oh my gosh, how do I establish loving boundaries that also takes care of my need for alone time and quiet and peace, right? Thank you. Yeah, Michelle, I love that. Yes, not hard, challenging. I know. Like this is, I'm telling, like one of these hypnosis things. Speaking of resources, Marissa Peer has a course on Mind Valley, and she has a free masterclass. I highly recommend it. And she's been doing this like hypnosis thing for decades. She works with some of the biggest people in the, you know, celebrities, athletes, etc. So fancy schmancy, right? Proven stuff. And one of the big things that she talks about is like, notice the words that we use. So like I'm pretty good. I've been on this like personal development path for a while, and I'll still catch myself saying, man, this is hard. And then it's go, oh, wait a minute. Because whatever we tell our brain, it believes. So if I say, oh, this is so hard, you know, then I'll do it. So I'm going to share a quick story. And then we'll move around this languaging thing, right? So as a professional belly dancer, very often I was driving home late at night from a gig after being on for hours, right? Especially if you get there, if it was one of these like Arabic or Indian weddings where like time is fluid, to say the least. So you get there and you're waiting to go on. Like, no, not yet, not yet. We're gonna have dinner. Oh, not yet, not yet. We're gonna have I finally got smart and put a clause in my contract that was like, if you make me wait more than 30 minutes, then you got to pay me extra. So that stopped happening quite as much. But in the beginning, I didn't know that, and so you're out, you're in costume, you're waiting, ready to go on and entertain. So driving home at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and you're like, right? Now, first and foremost, of course, like super sleepy, just pull over, nap, right? Obviously. And this is what I noticed as I was driving. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. Oh my God, I can hardly keep my eyes open. Oh my God. Like, say those words to yourself right now. Oh my gosh, I can hardly keep my eyes open. You're going to feel yourself get sleepy, like just hearing it. And what I started doing when I learned about this verbiage thing, I started saying, you know what? Yes, I feel tired and I choose to get myself home timely. I tap, untapped resources of energy. I'm feeling more and more energized with each moment as my body finds the energy. Like I would just talk, like kind of coach myself through it. But even just saying like, I'm awake, I'm totally awake. I'm obviously awake. I'm awake driving this car right now. And I could feel, it's not even hypnosis, right? It's just changing the language because what we tell our brain, it believes. And so like, it'll do everything. Our brains are so brilliant. They'll do everything that they can to like help support us. So to like go back to this overarching thing of like, what's the lesson? If we think of this as like our evolution into a divine wolf pack, right? A collective that is also like peopled with individuals. If we come back to that lesson of like, what's the lesson? What's the thing? And you're going through an experience that's like, man, this is really hard. Oh my gosh, the kids are in my face all the time. I don't know what to do. Like, like the eyeballs going kind of crazy. Like, I want to yell and scream, but I know that that's not okay. Right? Been there, done there. That as a mom, just been in that moment of like, I'm about to freaking lose my stuff. And this is just a tiny, helpless person. And yet they know all the buttons to push, right? So rather than saying, oh my God, this is so hard. Oh my gosh, this is so hard. How can I possibly get through this? Right? Just be like, wow, I am so resourceful. I am such a creative being. I know that I can come up with a solution to this. Like, it's so interesting. It's almost like, how do we become our cheerleader? How do we notice when we're doing that, self-talk downward spiral? And we have it's totally within our power. The same way that a yawn is contagious, the same way that laughter is contagious. If I start if I start laughing right now, you're going to want to laugh with me. You may already be laughing with me. So it's that same thing. We are brilliant. Leverage that, right? When things are getting tough. Yeah. Leverage that and if you need help with that, my loves, this is what this group is for. Yeah. A soft place to land, a place for inspiration, a place for keeping the vibe high and also being real, like bring your level 3, level 5, level 7 shares here, right? I just updated the rules in the group to just, like what happens here stays here. This is a safe place. And that is our commitment to you and my commitment to you and, really what we can create together, co-create. So with so much love, thank you for joining me today. I love that today's reading was really so, so simple. And also, oh my gosh, I have to add this too, because I'm just glancing down. The wolf's power ally is the moon. And what did we just have last night? But that gorgeous supermoon, the pink moon, the full moon, if you weren't aware, that was last night. So supermoon just means like it's like even more visible, more bright, like whoa. And I just went out and basked in the moonlight last night. And if you missed it, don't worry, you didn't miss it. Just go out tonight. Like it's still going to be pretty full, right? Like the moon doesn't change phases overnight, thank goodness. So we have some time to really, move with her energy. So, so much love to you. Remember, be like the wolf. Yeah. The individual within the pack. And also, what is the lesson in this experience for you, for your circle, for the collective? From my heart to yours, I love you. Take what you need and pass it on. Bye. Ciao. Thank you for joining me.